back to another episode. I hope everyone is doing well. This is Mavis, your host from Bentley Education, and you're listening to the Infrastructure Star Talks podcast. If you have been thinking about ways to reach out to these infrastructure experts and learn from them, don't worry, we are here. So get ready to ride on the one way roller coaster ride of knowledge, experience, and inspiration. I'm very excited for today's episode as we have a very special guest, Mr. Tanay Kulkarni, who is a co founder at DTK Hydronet Solutions in India. Tanay, at a very young age, has achieved a lot of success, and I'm sure his journey, which is full of grit and passion, is going to inspire students. Listeners, what exciting is that one of their projects also bagged Bentley's Air Infrastructure Award. Moreover, he has mentored thousands of students and engineers around the globe. By now, you know that he's unstoppable when it comes to achieving his dreams and inspiring many. So let's hear it from the man himself and get started. Welcome, Tanay. We're super excited to have you over and thank you joining us today.
Thank you, Mavis, for having me. It's my pleasure.
All right. So, Tanay, from where I start, you are a water infrastructure engineer, technical consultant, and you are a student now. Our listeners are very excited to know about your story from how you started from a small town in India and how did you reach where you're today. So, are you excited?
Absolutely. Thank you
Oh.
for this question. So, I grew up in a dusty little town called Amravati in the heart of India. We
Mhm.
received inadequate, low quality water supply, only 50 liters per person once a week, 2 hours a day. So, water was a central issue, and we had to limit our consumption very aggressively. The district newspaper reported water shortages, farmer suicides due to crop failures, and many other water related issues daily. I had two options in front of me: either escape from the situation or persevere and fix the problem, and I chose the latter. So later in life, my solo travels across India exposed me to more acute water issues. On one side, Bengal faced horrific effects of arsenic and fluoride contamination of water, whereas in Rajasthan, tribal women had to walk for miles to fetch only a few liters of water, that too daily. This tour made me realize how water issues are endemic to the whole country, reinforcing my resolve to mitigate such sufferings. I completed my bachelor's of engineering program in which I studied water systems, irrigation, drainage, hydrology, among other subjects. Through an internship at Maharashtra State Water Board, I learned about water systems engineering at micro and macro levels. After obtaining my bachelor's degree, I worked as a lecturer at polytechnic colleges and assisted professors with their work. I also taught subjects like water supply, fluid mechanics, hydropower, environmental and irrigation engineering courses.
Mhm.
I had developed a clear long term interest in water engineering, and that led me to complete my master's in hydraulics, securing first class with distinction. As a modeler, my career started at engineering firm responsible for designing water supply and sewerage network models. I acquired skills for literature survey, technical writing, planning and designing, and negotiation with our clients. My work contributed towards 24/7 piped drinking water supply to over 1 million people living in the Pune's suburbs. At Bentley Systems, I spearheaded our other projects involving calibration, integration of hydraulic models and SCADA, rehabilitation, pressure management for clients from India, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Philippines, Bhutan, Thailand, Malaysia, UAE, Bangladesh, and Indonesia. The discussions with the engineers on their challenges gave me a better understanding and knowledge of engineering practices and the critical issues faced by significant water utilities. I realized how water is more global than local and how technology, planning, and collaboration alone can help nations solve these problems.
Mhm.
I mentored thousands of professional engineers from EPC contractors, consultancies, and utilities to solve the regional water problems. Later, I partnered in an engineering startup which won multiple global awards named as DTK Hydronet Solutions with my wife Devashri. Devashri and I led a team of 4 engineers designing more than 40,000 kilometers of pipe network throughout 50 plus water supply and sewerage projects. Our projects have brought clean drinking water to the doorstep of millions of Indians. My personal experiences, they allow me to relate to the water afflictions, and my professional experiences provide me with the right tool to solve them. Along with my wife, I ambitiously aim to continue devoting my life and career to one singular cause, which is clean water for all. And today Devashri and I are pursuing our second master's degree at Carnegie Mellon University, the world's #1 university for data science. We now are determined to learn how data science and machine learning can be applied to water infrastructure systems um, to impact the lives of millions. That's how
Wow,
I.
Tane, that this is amazing. You have achieved so much at a very young age and seems like you're unstoppable, and I'm sure you're going to inspire many, Tane. That's amazing. Also, Tane, you have trained, mentored thousands of water engineers globally on computerized modeling of water infrastructure. Would you like to share what do water engineers do and what is exciting about it and what skills and qualifications should a student must possess if they want to build in this field?
Right. So, okay, so let's look at this from a bit different angle. So historically, if we see civilizations have settled on the banks of rivers or lakes, right? Similarly, cities are dependent on different sources of water. For example, a city is located on the bank of a river, and this city taps water from the river, treats it, and then transports this treated potable water to its citizens. Citizens then consume this water for their domestic or industrial or commercial or agricultural needs, and the wastewater thus generated is then treated and returned back to the source, that is the river. So essentially, every city has three water systems. One is drinking water, stormwater, and wastewater infrastructure systems. So the drinking water
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure, also known as water infrastructure system, is responsible for tapping water from the source, treating it, distributing it to the citizens through a vast network of underground pipelines. The stormwater infrastructure system is responsible for collecting stormwater from the city and disposing it safely to the river through a vast network of channels, gutters, pipes, and drains, thus preventing the cities from flooding. And the wastewater infrastructure system collects and treats the septic wastewater that is generated after human consumption and then safely returns it to the source after treating it. So water
Mm-hmm.
engineers plan, design, build, operate, and maintain these extremely complex and humongous and one of the most quintessential infrastructure systems for the city. So water engineering is one of those rare professions where their work directly impacts the lives of millions. All the water supply schemes, underground sewerage schemes, or stormwater projects water engineers work on have enormously positive impacts on the society in general. So typically you would find water engineers with some background in civil, mechanical, or chemical engineering. And in today's world, along with having a strong understanding of the core engineering domain, it is very important to also have knowledge of advanced technologies and software applications, because that's how you get things done, right? So
Mm-hmm.
one tip here is lifelong learning. With every passing day, the technology is changing drastically, and the industry needs engineers who can adapt to the newest technologies and dare to tackle engineering challenges head on. Excuse me. Yeah. So that is what I think that water engineers do, and you should
Mm-hmm.
possess these qualities in order to.
Mm-hmm. And that's right. I'm sure the skills you have mentioned, I'm sure this is going to help the other students for sure. And also globally, we are aware the problems related to water shortage and access to clean water. How do you think future generation of engineers will be pivotal to help in this situation? And what are the career opportunities for students in this field?
You're right. There is a lot of efforts and capital invested in sustainable development goals, especially water. So, engineers have a pivotal role to play in ensuring clean drinking water to all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is an unprecedented demand for water engineers, and this demand is here to stay for at least next 10 years. So
Mm-hmm.
consulting firms, EPC contractors, water boards, water companies have a huge requirement for engineers who can help them intelligently plan, efficiently design, optimally build, sustainably operate, and effectively maintain these water infrastructure systems. See, the thing is, nowadays, the importance of water infrastructure systems have increased so drastically, especially in developing countries, that the demand for water engineers is very, very high, and the supply is, it's very short. So in the
Mm-hmm.
next few decades, we all will be, witnessing a steep rise in the need to have more and more water engineers.
Right. Would you like to share with our listeners the simple things you do in your professional life to stay motivated, and how do you keep your inspiration alive?
Thanks for asking this. Yeah, I strongly believe young professionals, especially fresh out of grad schools, feel demotivated, cannot handle rejections, feel depressed, and eventually start questioning their mettle and
Mm-hmm.
capabilities when they, fail in something. I personally have failed many times in my career, committed so many mistakes that I cannot even count.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, failing and committing mistakes only shows that you have tried something, right? And if you consider failure as a given, so whenever you
Mm-hmm.
start doing something, whenever you ride a bicycle for the very first time, right, you fall often, right? And it's a given, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you start something knowing that the chances of failure are more than the chances of successing in it,
Mm-hmm.
then I think the burden of failure somehow lightens. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, it is very important to learn from others' mistakes, right?
Right.
Remember, life will keep on teaching you the same lesson again and again
Mm-hmm.
until you get it finally, right? And the way I think is, in our world, in our beautiful world, if we are okay to fail a million times, then the chances of hitting successes increases exponentially than otherwise. So, right, if you keep on trying and trying and trying and failing, it doesn't matter how many times you have failed, because eventually the chances of hitting successes is gonna exponentially increase. And secondly, I have always, I always surround myself with achievers and doers. And I think I'm quite lucky to learn this very early in my career. Um, as a young professional, you tend to become a result of your surroundings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So constantly having people who push you to do more, challenge you to grow more, it makes a huge difference. And when you see people around you doing more rather than talking or discussing more, then you too become more of a doer and less of a thinker.
Mm-hmm.
So doing more, do more, right? Surround
Mm-hmm.
yourself with achievers and doers. And thirdly, see, no one is entitled to success. And this is hard to accept, but this is the truth. No matter how much efforts you put in, how many sleepless nights you might have had, you are not entitled to success. So
Mm-hmm.
if you become successful someday, right, just by chance or just by luck, if you become successful someday, be grateful about it. So be grateful for everything that you have, right? Be humble, be kind, be grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And this, if you adapt these qualities, right, you will always feel curious, you'll always feel thankful for everything that you have in your professional life. And believe me, it somehow improves your quality of work. It improves your quality of life, right? If you, and
Mm-hmm.
that's my inspiration, and I would like to share this with everyone who are listening today.
Wow, this is really inspiring, Tanay. And I'm sure our audience will, like, whoever will listen this, whether it's be students or like young professionals or educators, this is definitely going to motivate them, and I myself will try to follow it as well. And lastly, would you like to share some career tips and tricks to the young students who are dreaming to walk on the path as yours?
Mm, I'll I'll answer this question as if I were advising the
Mm-hmm.
younger me. So
Mm-hmm.
when looking, so firstly, when looking for new jobs, always look for responsibilities and not the titles.
Right.
The catch here is if you find some, the more you do, the more you learn, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what kind of responsibilities are you given also determines what kind of value are you bringing to the company, right? So always try to look at responsibilities, more um, accountability, because that is how you grow, right? You cannot just go and say that I want this position in a company. No, you have to go and tell them that okay, these were the responsibilities that these people or individuals or companies gave me, and I successfully carried out those responsibilities. And that is on the basis of that I want to take a new responsibility at your company, for example, right? So you talk
Mm-hmm.
in terms of responsibilities and not in terms of titles and positions and how big of a team am I going to handle. No, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And the second one is become a mentee,
Mm-hmm.
right? Having a mentor is very, very important.
Right.
I, to me, right, you are not the first person in the world to be born, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you're like, there are so many other individuals like you, just like us. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to learn from others. And having a mentor, see, a mentor will not replicate his or her success in you, but
Mm-hmm.
it will he will or she will um, you know push you so hard to eventually identify your potential, uncover your secrets and your talent
Mm-hmm.
out of you, right? So you
Right.
have to have a mentor. So how high your career graph goes or grows will be determined by whether you have a mentor or not, right? And this
Mm-hmm.
is very true, right? If you read many articles that are or studies that are performed, with for if you look at a career graph,
Mm-hmm.
people with mentors and people without mentors, you'll always see people without mentors, or let's say people with mentors had a very steep career growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all need to be mentored, and having a mentor, a great mentor, will change everything. Also, you
Yes.
do not get to choose your mentor. That's the catch here. You don't
Mm-hmm.
get, you cannot go to a person and say, okay, from now on you are my mentor. No, a mentor chooses you, right?
Right.
So it's very chicken and egg condition. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
be really persistent about it, right? Talking about persistence. See, persistence, hard work, extreme determination will deliver improvements, right? But
Mm-hmm.
these improvements might not necessarily be the so-called successes that you have in your mind. But these are important, because one improvement at a time is gonna make a long and huge difference in a long span of your career. Thirdly, stay a lifelong learner. And this is
Mm-hmm.
easier said than done, but lifelong learning, pardon me, involves very high deliberation. It is a never ending cycle of learning, applying what you learn, going deeper into the domain, mastering the art, helping others excel, and then forgetting that you ever knew anything about the topic. and
Mhm.
relearning the whole thing differently, right? And it's a cyclic process, and it is a very tiring process. You are exhausted in it, but
Mhm.
only this process is gonna ensure your continuous improvement in your life, work, anything that,
Right.
and be passionate about the larger picture and influence that you have on the society.
Mhm.
Because generally, we, while working, while we work our way through the stages of our career, we tend to forget the impact that our profiles have on human lives, right? We must keep on reminding ourselves of the greater good, right?
Mhm.
Because this constant reminder is gonna stay you motivated, it's gonna ensure that you are motivated, and you are passionate about something that you
Mhm.
do, right?
Right. That's great. That's great, Tanay. And I'm sure, Tanay, like your experiences and your thoughts, that will definitely going to motivate our audience. And thank you once again, Tanay. It was wonderful having you over. And I'm sure your career journey will undoubtedly inspire the next generation.
Thank you, Mavis, for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. And thanks for listening and joining us today. If you enjoy our show, leave us a review and recommend topics you would love to hear in our next episode. Before I sign off, everyone be sure to follow Bentley Education on social media and visit education.bentley.com to get a jump start on your infrastructure career. Until then, this is Mavis signing off. We'll meet again soon in another exciting episode with another info guru from the world of infrastructure.